We have special guest Brendan Shue today to discuss business ethics and bad actors in the real estate photography industry. Today, on episode 6 of Real Estate Photography Unlocked.
I'm just trying to get mine, but these agents got me losing my mind. Whatever happened to the good times? Man, forget about it. It's showtime. Let me show you how to get some rest, how to make millions, how to be your best. This is shout out to the REPs, to the shooters, producers, and the newbies. Welcome to our podcast. I'm your rep MC. We're here every week talking real estate photography.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Real Estate Photography Unlocked. Today, I have Brendan Shue, and we're happy to have him here. So I love having guests on the podcast, and we always try to learn things and provide value to you guys. Today, we are going to be discussing business ethics and complete transparency for this. I actually made a sponsored post in one of the real estate Facebook groups, and Brendan had some questions about some of the things I was saying, and we talked and we decided, hey, why don't we make a podcast out of this? Discussing business ethics and everything else. And we'll do a quick intro here and then dive right into it. We're going to essentially read what I had wrote and then his response to it and dive into actors in the industry, whether they're good, whether they're bad, what's okay, what's not. And anyway, how you doing today, Brendan?
I'm doing great. And yeah, I screenshotted a convo because I know we took that down just for the sake of like making this podcast happen. But yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be here. I know you're a good actor in the industry, and you've done a lot of, things to support the community at large. So happy to, just have a chat. I know in ways we're competitors as well. You have a coaching and course offer. I also have an educational offer as well. And I know also you're working on a pretty cool software. Congrats on the launch. It looks really cool. In terms of like the branding and the colors and everything. And I know I'm an investor in Tano, and we've discussed that in the past. So, happy to, still have this conversation and see, where we can take it.
Yeah. And I always love having some people like to avoid conversations or people. I'm not like that. Anytime you want to talk or discuss a topic, no matter who you are, I'm happy to have you on. That being said, I'll always ask fair questions, but also some of those questions may be tough but either way, it'll give you the opportunity to answer them. But anyway, let's dive right into it.
Yeah, the harder the questions, the better. I like that approach. That's people are afraid to ask the hard questions these days.
Sounds good. So simply put, and I'll just read these as fast as I can. My sponsored post included, hey, today is my great joy to announce the pre-launch of the next big contribution to the real estate photography industry. And I was required to edit this to remove some of this, so I am reading you the unedited version. Several years ago, I released one of the largest and most thorough courses to the industry, covering everything you need to know. However, I didn't market it heavily because I didn't want to appear like I was trying to take advantage of anyone. Well, since then, people have been doing a lot of taking advantage of photographers, so I'm coming back to the education realm to make sure the quality of education remains high and the cost remains low. Under no circumstance should you have to fork out thousands and thousands of dollars for the highest quality education and information. And under no circumstance should you be tricked or lied to in order to close a sale. And then I go on to provide all of the information related to the course. But that part is probably the most important part in regards to this conversation. And then we have Brendan's response. There are plenty of other, excuse me, let me get the correct. You made 2 comments. So there's
I can send it to you on, I have a screenshot.
I've got it here. Hey, Jonathan Corbett, you're right. There's a Shady offers out there, and it's great to see you offer something affordable to the community while being able to hopefully achieve the outcome you have for yourself. I like to address the question of fingers being pointed, though. So can we all avoid bad actors in this group? Who are these snake oil salesmen you are talking about, and do you have proof of that? Also, agency owners that don't make a profit. Is that something you have proof around? Because I have evidence of agency owners running $500,000 to $4 million a year agencies making at least $200,000 a year without having to be tied to a glorified solopreneur job, and upwards of 20 to 35% net profit as owners of $1 million enterprises that have sold for seven figures as well. But admittedly, also have ran a business that has had a tremendous amount of stress putting my payroll and employees' livelihoods ahead of my own interests and profits, burning $100,000 a month. Luckily, we are running profitably all of 2024. I've also met many agency owners that have scaled up a business with zero and negative profits, but they aren't selling any courses or snake oil. So can you clarify the strategy in talking about these bad actors? All right, so that's the long and short of it. Do you feel like that's accurate?
Yeah, probably
Okay.
to the word. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I want to make sure we're accurate. So hopping into this, I wanted to just read my post, your post. First of all, would you say that bad actors do exist? I know that you said so in the post, but there is
100%.
such a thing as bad actors.
100%. You can be in the safest neighborhood, but there still can be crime. Whether it's
Right.
white collar crime or it's still something like very bad. There's bad people everywhere, unfortunately.
Mhm. And what would you say makes someone a bad actor? Because I have used terms like snake oil salesman, taking advantage of people,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So you agree that it can happen. What
Yep.
would make someone a bad actor?
I would say in the realm of like course creators and coaches, because that's I think the industry we're talking about, but also we can talk about agency owners if you'd like. But with course creators and content creators, the people that make a guarantee that they can't back up, right? The people that are falsifying data, saying, "Hey, I'm making seven figures and this much profit," when they're not, and lying. People that are taking advantage of someone's potentially emotional disposition, or kind of taking advantage of someone's hardships with a promise of like saving them when they don't confidently know or have a track record of being able to do so. I think there's a fine line there, because there are some people that will buy stuff that will never take the actions to implement. And then in that scenario, as someone who sells and closes these high ticket offers, one of the first things I'm looking for is the willingness to take action and execute, and not someone who is looking for me to save their business. And so if someone's looking for me to save their business, I will usually direct them to free content, because like I don't want to be tied to having them pay me all this money and then not getting a result.
Yeah, I agree with you there, especially because I've had people who come to me and say, "Hey, I bought your course, for example, and I haven't made any money with it." And then I'll check their course progress, and they've watched sometimes zero videos. And they're saying, "Hey, how come I'm not, a millionaire yet?" It's like, buddy, you got to do the work. This is just access to information. So I completely agree with you that if someone comes with an entitled mindset, or that I don't have to do anything, or this isn't going to be hard work, it's not a good person to have on the
Yeah.
team.
But
And
it's up to us to not even let them in the program and buy it in the first place, right? So I think that's where some people, like, they know this person is not going to do anything, and they still sell them, something that is not going to benefit them. So I think
Right.
that's something that I've tried to get better at, because I know at some point, it felt like sometimes I felt like I was pushing something on someone who wasn't ready for it. And I took a look at myself. And I'm like, all right, I need to chill out with that type of energy of like trying to just go for the close, but more, who is this person? Can I truly help them?
Sure. So here's I did some brainstorming for this. A few of the things that I thought about, because like a snake oil salesman is kind of a slang term, but shady practices that I just thought of a few predatory terms in an agreement. So these are agreements where you say, "Hey, I've got a guarantee," but then you look at the guarantee and it's not 100% of your money back. You have to you have to meet a ton of standards for you to qualify for a guarantee, and you get none of the money back in those cases. And they aren't transparent with the terms of that guarantee. And there's all sorts of terms that people can take advantage of. So predatory terms in the agreements, fake credibility through titles, through faking your money, whatever it could be, lying or embellishing your numbers, paying for fake followings. A lot of people do this. Showing off wealth that is borrowed or earned from other sources of income while advertising your education where you didn't make that livelihood. Advertising one thing and doing another, or not delivering what you advertised at all. Money grabbing by claiming to add value to a new product when you actually didn't add any at all. Charging money for white labeled information. So this is people who go and learn things from popular people for free. This could be Alex Hermosi or Gary Vaynerchuk. Then they take that information, slap their logo on it, and charge you guys, thousands and thousands of dollars for it. 10 would be hiding your prices and blurring your offer as much as possible so that people do not understand what they're buying, and you instead try to get them to close with a aggressive sales process. So that is a few shady practices. Other things that I could include just off the top of my head, and we have all run into these. If you guys are trying to cancel subscription with anything and you have to dial like 6 phone numbers or send it in a fax, but if you're trying to join their program, it's super streamlined. That's designed to do that way. We want people to have absolutely frictionless purchase experience and absolute pain to back out so that they give up before they back out and we keep their subscription. Guys, this is all shady practices, but I want to say this. All of these are legal in the United States. None of this is illegal. People can operate like this and be free and clear in the law. So when I'm saying snake oil salesmen, shady practices, I'm not accusing them of doing anything illegal. I'm just accusing them of being ethically gray, to put it very lightly. So in the post, I stated, just kind of consolidating down here, people are taking advantage of photographers. We've seen this in software industries where people are no doubt saying, hey, we're not using your information, and then turning around and using that information to offer your clients free shoots. And we're seeing this from companies who have done this in other industries time and time and time again. You shouldn't have to fork over thousands of dollars for the highest quality education. I do believe in capitalism, but I also do believe in crony capitalism, which I'll talk about in a second. You shouldn't be tricked or lied to in order to get closed for a sale. And then just finishing my consolidation here, I want to say that there are a lot of people out there who hate like profits. I'm not one of them. I'm not a socialist. I think capitalism is great, but I am not for crony capitalism. What's the difference? Crony capitalism is what gives real capitalism a bad name. What would you guys say the difference is? This is my difference. Informed consent and clear terms. Crony capitalism is where people, for example, I've worked at jobs before I owned my own business. They would say, hey, you can have cancel anytime. They would come in, fill out the papers to cancel their subscription or their loan or whatever else that they were promised to, and they would train us to take that cancellation and shred it. Okay? That's crony capitalism.
Yeah.
I don't stand for that. It is free market where people, the consumer, has the right to go out and look what's available and make the decision on their own. So anyway, that's where we're going. Moving on here, your questions for me. There are shady offers out there, but who are they, and do you have proof? So I don't want to name drop anybody just because I don't want to be too aggressive, but I think people will know who I'm talking about. And I would like you to step in here and contribute your 2 cents. Is there anything you disagree with what I've said so far? I know I've said a lot.
I mean, everything's accurate, and I I want to be truthful. I know at one point, like I asked why Tano wasn't a good fit, and you said, yeah, the pricing like felt a little bit shady, like it's not public. And I agree. I recommended John have public pricing from day one. It just, that's the current business strategy is B2B sales. There's different people with different plans as we've grown the product, as we evolved the product, as we've served different countries and industries, or mainly countries. Like in Australia, their average order value and their business industry structure is different than ours in terms of how much agents make. So, in how that translates to pricing is we charge less, for people in Australia and sometimes Canada, right? And so, it doesn't make sense for us to put that pricing out there yet. In the future, once we have it more optimized, streamlined, public pricing is important. I'm not speaking as a representative of Tano. I'm more of an investor, but that's just like what I know and what I've seen. But it's not something that we use to like misdirect someone. Our pricing is standardized on the back end, and has been for a good amount of time as well. So, in the beginning, we were selling enterprise sales, B2B contracts, $2,000 a month for clients that, they were paying like $20 an order, and they crushed it with Tano still, but it was a different game back then. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because I know I've been accused of shady in the past indirectly because of my association with Tano, and that's something that if you go through our conversations, I think it was mentioned. Or at least that's what I recall. So from there, I felt like fingers were pointed towards me, indirectly, directly. And I know some people have like something against coaching entirely. It's just not their cup of tea. And then they have it out for people like myself and you. I'm sure you've experienced it yourself, that they're anti-education. They're anti like charging for it. And it's actually funny because there's people that have been anti, but now have started charging for it once they got the audience.
Right. Exactly. I have experienced the same thing. Just like a quick story. I've had people send me suicide hotline numbers because they thought that what I was doing was so unethical and horrible. And then these same people or groups of people would then release their own course less than a year later. So it's really wild. A few things I would like to make clear. Your association with Tano, the actual owner and founder, John Zhao, is not here. So I'd like to keep Tano out of it.
Yeah,
purely because I really respect John Zhao. I think he's a great person. And then you and I have done interviews before where, you were guilty of fake credibility through titles, where you provided, and actually John Zhao had to come out and correct the record on that. And he said, quote, "Hey, thanks for featuring Tano. I'm the founder of Tano, and I want to clarify that while Brendan has been instrumental in helping us grow and bring out on photography companies, he's not directly involved in Tano. He makes a commission on the sales that he brings in, but he is not director of partnerships at Tano. I do not have any knowledge this interview was happening, nor did I give permission on the company's behalf." Mm-hmm. So let's keep Tano out of it, and let's maybe just refocus on Acre Partner.
For sure. If you don't mind, just so I can have a quick response to that. That was an honest mistake. We're a startup. We moved quick. In the beginning, I was the only one responsible for sales. I had the ability to just put on a title just so people could interface with me more easily. But in terms of being on a podcast, interviewing with you, that's something I didn't really think through. I was just moving quick, hoping that it was in the best interest of John and Tano, without actually saying, hey, is this my title? Is, that there was no formal process, there's still a lack of formal processes in a lot of the startups that I have. And those are all things that we're trying to build, especially when it comes to titles. But within my startups, a lot in the beginning, a lot of people self-assign themselves titles just so we can move quick and be able to represent the company faster. So that was an honest mistake. It was not intentional to deceive or mislead people.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Let's move on to another point I have. So I never mentioned you in my post. Is there a reason you responded? It does come off a little bit defensive, especially when you kind of hijacked the post and a moderator had to get involved to handle your comments. Once again, not to my doing. It seems a little bit defensive. Do you feel like even though I was just making a general comment, you felt
Yeah, because
that I was
there's only a few players in this industry, and when you're saying, "Hey, uh, there's all these other people," without acknowledging the good, you're making yourself look like the only good guy, and everyone else is a bad guy. So, yes, I felt attacked, and I felt like you were attacking every content and course creator out there in the industry indirectly by not being very clear about who you're talking about. Because then people can, you leave it up to someone's imagination. They're going to be like, yeah, Jonathan's definitely talking about this person. And then, it just reinforces something that I don't think is uplifting to the community to focus on, those things where I think both you and I can both agree if we just focus on creating the best product, we don't need to do product comparisons because the product will speak for itself.
so. I'm going to be a little bit tough on you here.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, you actually did a sponsored post. I tried to find it. I'm not sure if it was deleted or not, where you
Yeah.
did product comparisons directly
Yep.
with
And
Tano and several.
yeah,
several
I'm
companies.
learning along the way. I'm human. I'm making mistakes. I did a comparison between Tonamo and Ario and HD Photo Hub's booking experience. And obviously my interest is with Tonamo. And that's something that, I don't want to involve Dalton because I know he doesn't want to be pulled into this. But Dalton gave me some feedback around, and I was like, this is not something we want to start. Turf wars between industry vendors and leaders. So I get it, and that's something that I'm going to try to avoid in the future. But I think it's also sometimes I think from a YouTube or creating a video around versus talking about it on a one-on-one basis, there are going to be people that ask me, hey, what's the difference between your program and Eli's program? And they want to hear from my mouth of like what I think is different. And I'm going to tell them like what I've observed and what I know. And so I don't want to like dive too deep into, that rabbit hole because unless that's something you want to talk about. But is a character flaw. I admit that I could have done better there. I could just focus on what Tonamo has to offer without comparing.
Right. So I admit that me just mentioning, oh, they're bad actors comes off a little bit possibly negative, but it certainly is true and does apply to certain people. And it's not leaving it up to the imagination. It's letting people decide for themselves, because a lot of people like to try to control crowds. We see that in politics a lot. Like a lot of news coverage people are telling people what to think. I don't want to tell people what to think, but I do want to admit the facts, which there are bad actors out there. But we have talked, a few examples here of fake titles, and comparing, competitors directly, naming them, and even doing full-on videos where you're comparing them. And you said, hey, those were mistakes, character faults. I'm still learning. Let's talk about a third one. You had said, Tonamo, you disagree with their pricing strategy, but you're not in control of that. You're just an investor. Is Acre Partner yours? Are you founder and complete owner of that?
100%.
So you make decisions there?
Yes.
I'm on your website right now. I can't find any prices. Can you direct me to the prices, since you do believe in transparency and pricing?
Yeah.
Can you direct me on the website where I can find pricing for your service?
Info. Let's see, Jonathan. There you go. There's the pricing. I sent you a link on Facebook.
Okay.
It should go through. It feels like it's lagging. I think I have your text phone number right, Jonathan.
And it looks like this is a pitch deck.
Yep.
Is this pitch deck available and easy to find on your website? Because I'm on your website and can't find the link hosted on the website.
I don't know. The website needs updating. Ideally, it's there as soon as possible. But when someone asks me about pricing, I'm pretty transparent these days. In the past, I felt like I needed to not. I needed to truly understand someone's situation, and then I would pitch them the value. And my strategy has changed since I've been mentored and consulted by other companies and industry leaders. Like my pricing is very transparent. If someone's trying to join my program, right now it's between 5 to 12, even up to $15,000 upfront investment. Depending on their tier, it's $800 to $2,000 a month. $3,000 if it's to coach with me one-on-one. We also have free content if they are not in a position to make any sort of investments in their business at that level. We offer a lot of free content on Instagram and YouTube, and we share our private workshops as well. And then also we have the ability to finance someone. So if someone is like not able to make a financial commitment at that level, we do finance people on a monthly plan, anywhere between $500 to $2,000 a month. And then in addition to that, if anyone has ever wanted to cancel or ask for a refund, I have never had an issue where someone felt like they were cheated that I was aware of. I do have other coaches, so I would be very open to hearing that information. But no one that's ever gone through the program says, "Hey, Brendan." No one that's ever come to me that says, "Brendan, I don't feel like I got what I paid for. I feel like I got ripped off. Can you refund me?" Have I denied them a refund? And then just to, I do feel like, you spotlighted two negative things about me, and I haven't asked about business integrity, about, what I've done. I had someone who threw a coup d'etat against me at my own business as a director and tried to rally all the managers against me. And unfortunately, he did lose his job the next day, but I gave him a $50,000 severance because of what we did build together. I'm someone who believes in relationships even after they're broken apart. I've had friends of mine who told me that they weren't going to sleep with my ex that still slept with my ex, and I've forgiven them. I have also let someone represent Aerial Canvas's name as someone who was selling website and social media solutions. And he used my name to close a client, withdrew the client's funds into his own bank account in Mexico. And I never saw a dollar of it, even though I was entitled to a revenue share and profit share. And when the client called me a week and a half later saying, "I'm not happy with the product that I got from said person that I allowed to represent my company, that I never saw a dollar from," I refunded the client $10,000 cash, because my reputation matters, because things matter. And the reason why I bring up this conversation is and I felt attacked, is because you were highlighting bad actors and highlighting only one good actor, when there are a lot of other good actors out there that are doing a lot of great things for the community that I've observed. And I highlighted some in those comments. I know everyone has their character flaws, but I know for a fact from the people that I've talked to that Claudio, Eli Jones, Claudio Rivera of 910 Academy, Eli Jones of Rep, Real Estate Photographer Pro. There's a new one popping up called Creativity Squared, amongst a few other course creators as well as coaches. I feel like I have a great product, but I also know that they have served their clients at a high level, and the people that they've helped and influenced, for the most part, have felt like they've gotten a great return on investment for not just their money, but their attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So, as far as highlighting one person, if you guys want to go to my YouTube channel, I actually did an entire campaign interviewing, several people, including, I think, every software I could find before I even made my own. And the reason I made my own is because after interviewing some of them, I couldn't find exactly the product that I wanted, but I also did find some of these people to be bad actors. And I haven't pointed any fingers in the past as far as bad actors, but I do want to say, Brendan, the reason you may have felt like I was pointing the finger towards you is because while I have made general accusations towards a wide audience, um, several of them in this case did apply to you. Uh, and you may say that, hey, I was learning, I'm still learning. Some of these are still current, including lack of transparency and that sort of thing. So if the shoe fits is what's happening here. As far as good actors, I think John Zhao is a fantastic gentleman, and I think he's got a great product from what I can tell. Um, and my interview with him, if you want
So,
to see on the
all
channel,
right, I
is
feel
very
like
positive.
I feel like we need to break this down. Then, what date did you start development of your software, and do you have a paper trail of when you started that? Because at this point, if you're trying to say, hey, you misrepresented yourself, which is an honest mistake, and still leaning into that on why I might be someone who's shady, when it was like I just gave myself a title of director of partnerships. When John and I started the business, I was doing all the sales. It was a startup. At some point, it became more legitimate where, official titles needed to be approved. I did not get the memo. John, like at one point, I'm pretty sure on my Instagram, it said I was director of partnerships. And when I first started doing sales, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that to John, and it wasn't something that was like, don't do that. And so, yeah, things change. I've given titles to team members, or team members have assumed titles in the beginning saying, hey, can I get this title? That once we legitimize more and like corporatize, things change. But I think the issue I have, John, is you're so negative. You're focused always on the negative, and you didn't highlight once all the good things that people are doing. And that is my issue, that you're no different than the news publications that are just having headline articles for the sake of grabbing attention and your own marketing to serve you, to say, hey, all this shit's happening in the world, all this shit. What about all the good? What about, I know, there's big influential people that are potentially shady in your eyes, that aren't doing at the absolute best. Everyone's human, but why not focus on the good? I believe in one thing. There's heaven and hell on earth. There's the good wolf and the bad wolf. And however you choose to see the world is how the world will show up to you. And so I think that is the biggest flaw that you have. And this is now me pointing a finger in how you've represented yourself in that advertisement. And that mindset of focusing on negativity as opposed to abundance is what has hurt me in the past. What has hurt me when I chose to make comparisons. What has hurt me when I chose to potentially, put myself in front of others. And now I'm trying to do the latter, which is put others in front of me, elevate everyone up in the industry, not talk negatively of people. If people want to compare me to Eli Jones, yeah, I'll tell them the facts. Yeah, Eli Jones scaled his business up, took him 7 years. He's learned a lot in the process. He had a slow and steady roll, and he's been front running this education space. He offered an amazing course for $400 to $1,000 at one point, just like you have offered now, that has given and elevated this industry to help so many people embark on this adventure in real estate media and create businesses of their dreams. And he's done that for a lot of people. And a lot of the people that he's worked with are now coaching with me because I'm offering a more elevated, approach towards scaling up an agency. So if people are going to ask me point blank, what is the difference? I'm going to say it. But at this point, am I going to make a YouTube video comparing myself to Eli Jones? No. Am I going to make a video saying, hey, there's shady people out there that are doing shady things? No, I think people already know that. I think most people are already skeptical, and they the average person, isn't someone who loves buying courses, but the people that do, they get so much value. And I saw that firsthand from me watching the other comments, that there are people that have coached with you that love you, that love the value that you give. And I would love for you to focus on that as opposed to saying and starting with a headline like those news publications, which are getting now pwned by X Media or X.com. I'm a big fan of Elon, because they're seekers of the truth, and not just one part of the truth, but all of the truth. And they're willing to talk about both sides of the equation and not just focus on one side. And I felt like you focused on one side and you had one negative headline. That was what I gravitated towards, and that what other people would hear when they're listening to your pitch.
Yeah, sure. I think there's lots to be said for people responding more towards positive than negative in certain cases. But there's also, once it gets to a certain point, it's important for good actors to do something, because if good people do nothing, bad people flourish. And it also, one of the reasons why I love capitalism is because when you have a competitor who starts offering a better product for less with more transparency and everything else, it forces the rest of the market to correct their business patterns or anything else. So if you felt like I was being negative, I just want to make it clear I never called you by name, but several of the things that we do refer to, and I can tell you for a fact, a lot of people hate lack of transparency, and all of these things. I never called you out. I was just referring to everything that is happening that people know of. And now, whether it is good as in a profit way for me, that's fine. I'll be happy to just be the person who calls it like it is. But I also find that there's certain manipulation tactics that people use. And one of those is, oh, don't be so negative when someone is making a good point. So I have made 3 good points here. You have asked me, who are these bad actors? And where is your proof? I have addressed those to you directly here in your case. And these weren't several years ago. Lots of these are currently active, including the lack of transparency with Acre, and also negative comparisons. I did it generally, but I certainly didn't call out anybody's name, and I didn't make that a wide open post. So while you may accuse me of being negative, I think I went by it in a more classy way, and I could have been a lot worse with that. So I think you may have taken it a bit personally when nothing personally was said.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, people have different perspectives and people have different preferences. And I think that's merely it. Like, I don't think there's anything shady about not having pricing on the main page of your website when everything is custom quoted. I don't need someone to be turned off by me saying, hey, here's my pricing before they learn the value of what I have to offer, because that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me as a business consultant, because I don't even know if I can help them yet, right? If anything, so I don't want to scare someone away who like needs to be challenged a little bit to turn their business and life around, to actually, be challenged and have a coach and have someone to keep them accountable to the highest level. I know not everyone's for that, but if someone asks me pricing, I don't dodge away from the question. I give them a range of what we do charge. I can show them the pricing on a piece of paper. I can show them the pricing on my back end. There's some people that have been grandfathered into better pricing that have been with me for 2 years. I'm not, and then same with Tano. We're not, you call Tano shady when I asked you why you did not want to go through with Tano.
Correction. I did not call Tano shady. I said John Zhao was a great representative, and Tano seems like a good product. You're inferring things that I never said.
All right. Well, I don't know if, I would have to pull up the text. I don't know. It's somewhere in our history potentially, but
I may have. If you were asking me why I'm not a customer of Tano when I was speaking with you guys a year or so ago, because I was looking for a new software, then I may have said, I don't want to join because it's too difficult to use. But that's not something I published widely or publicly at all.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to ask real quick. You had said everything at Acre Partner is custom quoted, and that's why you don't put it on your website.
It's not custom quoted. It's like we make a recommendation to what someone should do, And if someone needs a payment plan, we will figure out a way to make it work. But yes, we're going to sell someone the product without the financing if they don't need it, right? Like, it doesn't make sense for me to finance someone and have to go through need like things unless they're like, hey, do you offer financing? And then if they're like, hey, yeah, this is outside my budget, I can present financing options.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't see any reason why you can have numbers on a pitch deck and not have it on the website.
I mean, I have zero issue adding numbers to the website today. Like, I've never had, like, I used to not have numbers on the pitch deck that was publicly available because I don't need it being circulated around and people making, rash judgments on my program without actually talking through it. Like, if you're open to talking through my program before saying, hey, this is an absurd price no one should pay, and I heard that's your judgment already. Dude, I've paid for coaching $12,000 for 3 months from other people. It's the best money I've ever spent. The money that I've made people, the fact that I've made people like 10x what they've spent with me, and I have facts on that and testimonials where people say this is the best investment I've ever made. I don't need to say it for myself at this point. The reason why I don't have public pricing on my website today, and why I have it on a pitch deck, if there is a investigation there or like a question, is because I haven't had time to update my website. I update my website, if you want to look at the change history, every 6 to 10 months, and it's because it's not something that is like pressing. Like, no one is coming to me, saying like, bro, you not having pricing on your website is super shady. And I can actually show you the history. We had pricing on our website at one point, and I took it off because I thought it was a good strategy. And now I'm going to put it back on because I think it's a good strategy. And it's just a preference. I don't think it's shady to not have pricing on a website. There's companies that do custom homes. They're not going to be like, homes starting at $500,000. No, they're going to be like, you want a quote? Come talk to us. There's nothing shady about that, And if the person wants to buy, great. And if the person is rich and is a pretty tough person to work with, I'm going to quote that in. I'm going to say, hey, this person, is extremely high maintenance. Probably is going to need more effort for my team, which I'm more than willing to give. This is not on my coaching offer, but if I was selling a custom house,
right.
On my coaching offer, it's standardized, just to make it clear. I would be like, yeah, this rich motherfucker who has $10 billion and is going to be an asshole to my clients or my team. Yeah, I'm going to quote them probably 10% more than I normally would. So I can make that margin as an insurance policy of me having to probably pay my team out for a bonus for dealing with this asshole. But Am I willing to take the business from the asshole? Yeah, maybe I'm having a down year. I'll take that $10 million custom build from this, and I've dealt with asshole agents and I've turned them down. I've had asshole agents that berate my employees and they've spent $50,000 with me and I fired those clients. Mm-hmm. So I'm not afraid to swing both sides of the pendulum. I'm just letting you know the world is a dynamic world. If everyone had, transparent pricing, I get it. It makes sense. And I'm willing to have transparent pricing and more transparent pricing. And based off this conversation, thank you, John. I will update my website today to have transparent pricing. If someone wants to see the pricing, yeah, I will have it there. But I'm not going to advertise front and center on the front of the page because I'm not offering a low ticket product like you. I'm not offering that's not what I'm selling. I'm not selling, hey, education and coaching and 5 workshops every single week and accountability. And at this point, 4 live events a year. And on top of that, white label assets for first access to AI tools that we're front running in the industry with partners. I'm not. Hey, 1 second, Patrick. I'm on a podcast. Sorry, I have a friend here.
Yeah, no worries.
So it's not my business model. It's not my preference to advertise, front and center. Hey, mentorship packages starting at $20,000, starting at $10,000, starting at $1,000 a month, right? Yes, I should have that, just starting at price. And I should say, hey, our flagship program is this. I don't mind putting that on my website, but it's not going to be front and center, because it's not a feature. No one's going out of their way, looking for masterminds and consulting and saying, no, there are some. There's literally people that I'm that person. I am budgeting 50 to 100K in my own education this year. I've announced it to the world. So if someone wants to look up my social media and say, hey, our program's expensive, but you said you wanted to budget this much towards, your education. Yeah, hold me to what I'm trying to do with my education this year. But to make a judgment saying high ticket education is not worth it, to say going to Harvard for $250,000 is a ripoff, when it shouldn't be gatekeeped. It's not gatekeeped. Access to Harvard isn't just for the education, it's for the network, it's for the connections. People know that. Anyone that's been through that goes to expensive school knows that. I'm pretty sure MIT and Harvard have published a lot of their courses and trainings for free, and there's a lot of free colleges, but people pay for it. College is definitely a ripoff for the average person. For 80% of people, I think it's a ripoff in this day and age. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. The reason why I'm talking about this with this much passion is because, it's important to me to get clear between you and I that you and I just have a different preference. Some people hate coffee. Some people love it, and they do coffee enemas is on that spectrum, right? Some people are obsessed with coffee. Mm-hmm. Some people, they don't need a coffee, and it makes them even tired, and I just don't think it's very fair to be so vocal and so one-sided about making a judgment on the people that are, that are willing to spend more on education. When I responded to you, you saw people gave me thumbs up and on hey, there's credibility in what I have to say and things that aren't really, showcased, and maybe it's because they're, loyal fans and clients of mine and that I've created a result for, or maybe it's because everyone has just a preference in this day and age. And
certainly a lot of the people you tagged are people you network with. One thing I would say in regards to this is that while I agree education is very important and Harvard education, they charge premium, none of us are accredited schools. We're just individuals offering a product. And you can learn a lot of this stuff for free, actually. So the control group here, when we claim, oh, look at us, and this is something a lot of the courses do that I don't really do that much. I put up a few reviews, but I really do believe the defining factor of a successful photographer is the photographer, not the course that they take. People who like to take credit from the photographer and say, look what we did, are people who are taking too much credit for the process. For example, if someone were to buy either of our courses and fail, would we say that is our fault and take 100% responsibility for that? No, because it's up to them to do it. If someone succeeds with our course, should we also take the same amount of credit for that? I think you should take 100% of the credit if they fail and 100% of the credit if they win. But you have to do it equally. So in my case, I never take the credit for someone who, buys a membership to my information and succeeds with that, because it was their choice to purchase it. It was their choice to learn it. It was their effort to do it. In regards to high ticket education, that's great. That's fantastic. You can spend $50,000 and 10x your business. You can also spend $0 and 10x your business in the same amount of time. And we know this because plenty of people have.
And which one would be easier to 10x?
Well,
to only spend $50,000 to 10x my business, I can tell you that it's probably well spent, and it would make my life easier than to try to figure out everything by myself. Every single high level employee, or not employee, every single high level company, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, every high level athlete, Michael Jordan, has multiple consultants, multiple coaches that they pay upwards of millions of dollars to, if not at least a six-figure salary, when I can offer the ability to change someone's trajectory. And I know you don't want to take credit, but like, I'm not here to take credit. They did it for themselves. I was just a catalyst. I was just a mentor. They had to wake up every day and look at themselves in the mirror and choose their actions at the end of the day. But I can tell you for a fact that I have gone through to some people that have been stuck for 7 years, 5 years. I have thank you letters from people that were literally on the brink of a health disaster. Like their doctor said they're facing something disastrous if they keep these stress levels up. And I saved them from themselves. And I just offered the hand. They chose to take it. And so that's the difference. And it's just some perspective. Maybe it's because you haven't had the same experiences as myself, and we all have our preferences and our perspective and our own experiences. But I'm just here, simply to provide perspective today, Jonathan, that, like maybe there is a different way to do things. Maybe there's a way to be more collaborative. And that's just a preference. Some people are lone wolves, and some people, and I felt like that's something that you and I, can agree upon, because when I offered like, hey, is there a room for collaboration? You said, hey, no, I just like to work on my own. It wasn't even up for discussion, and that's something. And I know you're someone who, like believes in a healthy competition, and you're also protective of, your domain and your opinions. And when I noticed that is, I remember I bought your course and you refunded me. That shows that you have character, that you're like, it's not about the money. I don't want you in here because I feel like you're, coming in here with alternative motives, when I was just saying, hey, like, I just wanted to see, my motive was, let me pay you money. I didn't even go through your course really. I just want to pay you money to see how serious you were about it and show you that I was willing to spend money with you first, in hopes of potentially being a partner with you. And that was my philosophy and approach. Everyone has a different approach, but to cast judgment on saying that high ticket is a bad thing, when I know for sure everyone that I've worked with in high ticket is a league above others in terms of their thinking, their mindset. Like maybe, like, let me ask you a question. Have you ever paid someone $10,000 in a year for consulting? And
I have joined several of those courses to see what they were all about, and asked for my money back because they didn't
course
offer.
Or a consulting mentorship,
mentorship, where they would have very similar models to you. I'm not sure if you guys,
would you say they were a ripoff? Like you say, you didn't get, like it wasn't worth the money you spent with them.
Absolutely, which is why I asked for my money back, and luckily got it back.
And one last question is, do you feel like there is no one that you could spend $10,000 with and pay them for mentorship that would be worth it?
I would be tough to find.
So you're telling me if Tony Robbins offered you one-on-one mentorship once a week for $10,000, you would not take that?
Yes, I would not take that, because I'm sure 100% that I could get the same or better education, especially since Tony Robbins probably has way too little time to be with me.
I said if he had the time, you wouldn't pay for it.
I would not pay for that, because I could get a much better education for a tenth of the price.
Okay, so that's just the perspective.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. You can get. I'm not going to argue with you and say that, education is bad, because education is good. Learning things and learning things faster is great. You just don't have to go into debt and spend $10,000 to $20,000 or $2,000 a month to do it.
Here's the perspective shift that I want to just provide perspective on, right? There's a million books out there in the library. There's a million reels and free YouTube videos telling people how they can elevate their lives and improve their business. When someone buys a course, it's structured. When someone buys into mentorship and one-on-one coaching, it is custom and it is tailored, no different than a doctor prescribing something specific to a patient with a specific ailment or illness, and actually diagnosing them and giving them exactly what they need so they don't have to take 4 different drugs and guess what is the right drug to take. And that's, that's a metaphor and analogy. But in business, there's so many people, including myself, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm grabbing at things. And some people don't want to just have to grab at things and have to flip through 50 pages and watch 20 YouTube videos to hopefully get exactly what they need. When you work with a mentor who has done exactly what you want to do, they shortcut that process because they see the same challenges that they faced in terms of mindset, in terms of struggles, in terms of strategies and tactics that they should have applied earlier, that they can say, hey, this is exactly what you need to apply right now in your business and you can get cured. And this is exactly what you need to get to where you want to be. And so courses, I agree. Like courses, there's a lot of structured curriculum out there that's free. That is low ticket, and courses should be low ticket. I think every course should be no more than $5,000 max. $50,000 for a course, I think that's predatory. I can agree with you on that because there's so much free education, so many books written by seven-figure entrepreneurs, billionaires. Yeah, all of that's free, but some people, they don't want the course. They want a true friend and ally in their business that, money is an exchange, just like a medium of value being transacted, no different than you paying your employee or contractor to perform a service for you. It's the same thing with mentorship and consulting. Someone is just transacting for a service, and the service is mindset shifts, education, accountability, actual care. When someone pays me, I care. Why? Because that's my job. I'm literally choosing to work for them part-time. No one can afford me as an entrepreneur full-time. Like you said, Tony Robbins would be too busy for you for 10K. Like, I don't think he would ever do that. You're right. At some point, Jonathan, you're going to be so successful, maybe with your software business, maybe with your family, that your time is going to be valuable. Your hourly is going to go up. At some point, there's going to be 100 people asking for your hourly, potentially saying, oh, Jonathan, your coaching is so affordable. Can I pay you $100 an hour? You're like, hey, you don't even have enough time to say yes to everyone. So either you're going to have to turn everyone down, or you're going to have to raise your prices so you can provide more for your family, or build a team and have your team take care of everyone.
Yeah, sure. So I can walk that through how that would go. So right now with our real estate photography masterclass and mentorship, I run by the 60 to 80% rule is what you're talking about. I've already learned how to scale and delegate things so that I have essentially 24 hours in a day always available if I need to. So you can have several ways of going about this, modeling your business. It all depends on how much profit you want to make, how much overhead, but also it comes down to skill and business acumen and what you're able to create while still making a good profit for yourself while offering the customer value. So here's how that model would look, where I think it would be super ethical, valuable for the client, and profitable for the business without having to charge anywhere close to a high ticket of $5,000 or $10,000. So you offer the course for $500 to $1,000 right now. We're offering ours for $500. That includes lifetime, forever. And you make that course thorough, excellent, very easy to learn. And you don't sell the person inside the course by making them feel like they can't do things on their own. You actually train them in the course to make sure that they can be an autodidact and learn things for themselves if they want to. Because while, yes, there may be things you run into where you're like, you know what, that guy is valuable to learn from. I'm willing to pay for that. There's lots of things you can easily learn yourself. This is something along the concept of going and doing your own math homework and learning to do math for yourself rather than depending on copying someone else's homework every day at school.
Absolutely.
All right. So hold on, let me get to the profit margins here, because these are the numbers people should be expecting. A lot of these high ticket courses make claims and offers, including, we'll give you a coach and everything else. A lot of these coaches, and maybe it's the difference, not so with your high ticket offer. A lot of these coaches have never owned a real estate photography business. They're generic coaches. a lot of these coaches are also outsourced overseas coaches who have great English, but they're getting paid pennies on the dollar for what you're paying. All right. Another opportunity we have here, and this is what I'm going to be doing long term, is when my time gets filled up and I can no longer fill uh, my day with students because I have 24 hours in a day, I can bring on more mentors. And rather than charging $10,000 and paying someone to coach, you know, pennies on the dollar for that, I'll say, hey, listen, I will connect you with a student who wants to learn. I'm going to make sure you're qualified, and I want you to keep 90% of the profits or the revenue as the mentor. And then I'm going to offer this to other real estate photographers who have gone through the course who I know are quality
I love that.
mentors. That way, photographers inside the industry benefit and who may have aspirations themselves to teach and to learn, help other people who are wanting to learn. They give it to new photographers who are getting it at a fair price, and I'm making a decent profit of 15% because I make the connection and then I maintain the relationship. If there's an issue, I'll look into it. But this is a fantastic industry-wide business model that helps everybody and is a win-win-win, triple win.
Totally
And
understand.
nobody gets taken advantage of. So
I like that, but I like that business model. I have a similar one. I can show appreciation for yours, kind of like a brokerage, right? You have the core, curriculum and the core offering, and then you can bring on other people to benefit as coaches, and also the people that have gone through your program are the best. Just so you know, Don, one of our coaches, he went through our program for a while, and now he's a coach. We pay him a retainer plus a revenue share. Our revenue share for our coaches start at 50-50 after their retainer. And if they don't want to be on a retainer, our splits will be all the way up to 80-20, depending on if we provide them the lead or they provide the lead themselves. I think, my
and how much does that cost? And how much does that cost the student?
The student pays like $1,000 a month on average right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can charge whatever you like, but when I'm making generic things or statements like we have talked about, I think I'm spot on. And I think in regards to earlier mentioning that, you were getting some comments in the comment that was deleted. Well, a lot of those people were associates of yours or someone you have known before. I would invite anybody who's watching this video, and I know that people are going to be invited to watch this video and comment one way or the other, but I'd really like to hear from general audience who are not associated with me or with you. If you guys have watched this, where do you guys stand? I would love to see comments down below in the comment section, whether you're seeing this on Spotify or YouTube or anywhere else. Who's got a point here? Have I been accurate or have I been opinionated and just misguided here? Or have I provided, when asked for proof, have I given that proof not only with references and sources, but actually was able to prove it during the podcast live? So yeah, that's what I would like to hear from, because we can argue between my opinion or your opinion.
And we're both right, right? Within our own world,
I don't think we are both right here. I think the facts are the facts. I do not believe that your perspective is 100% valid and my perspective is 100% valid. I know there are a lot of people who approach life with it, everything is relative. It's not. There are some things that are relative. There are a lot of things that are not relative.
Can I ask you one question about business?
Sure.
So in regards to, have you ever done like a big custom project where, it was not your standard listing, 3-bed, 2-bath, shoot 30 photos, shoot a 1-minute video, that, someone came to you and was like, hey, I need this very complex project done. Maybe it's a little movie or commercial. Maybe it's like a very complex estate, right? With like many different things that they want to shoot. Do you have standardized pricing for that, or do you custom quote it?
It depends. I do have essentially 99% of my shoots fall under my automatic order form.
Okay. So I just wanted to once again provide perspective. There are players out there and industry leaders on the agent side that are down to go all in. Like I've had agents invest $15,000 with me for a flagship commercial about themselves, and they got a good price because I know other companies that would charge 50K, 100K for that type of commercial. Maybe that's something that you're not familiar with. I don't know, because it sounds like 99%, or you just said 99% is just standard listings. And then on the listing side, I know that there's like industry leaders that will charge 10K, 5K for a video. We have charged 5K, 10K for a video. And because it's a custom project, there's more involved. There's more more, like for commercial production, you have to potentially bring on a gaffer, a DP, a director. You have to bring in a colorist, do sound design at the end. And a more refined product is just going to cost more. And there's people that just want to pay more. I don't, what type of car do you drive? I don't know if that's
I've got 6 cars, but my main one is a 2014 Subaru STI with a forged block, and FP Blue turbo. Anyway, sorry, I love cars.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you love cars, and there's some people that love mentorship, right? Myself included. That I am willing to spend a lot on mentorship, just like you're willing to spend money on 6 cars. You don't need 6 cars. Not everyone needs to pay 50K for a program, or 10K for a program. But some people want to, because they want to feel and get that elevated experience that, like if we were to compare apples to oranges, are you doing 4 live, events this year? Are you doing, do you have a community with agency owners that are on average doing 30 to 50K a month? Do you have potentially like dedicated coaches that are always literally at the whim almost of your students, answering them on a daily basis, almost with like instantaneous response during business hours? Do you have 5 live workshops a week? Do you pay other consultants to create courses for you that are also industry leaders? For example, we're paying Stephen Caban right now, who I know has put up some quality portfolio work in real estate videography. We're paying him to create a course right now and also run workshops for our community. And he's closed deals for recently $27,000 for a commercial project, $50,000 for a commercial project. If we can help one person close one of those deals, the entire program is paid for itself. Not to say that's a promise or guarantee, but I'm just trying to provide some perspective that everyone has a preference. So
if people want to pay more for a product, that's fine. I would say put up your value, make it clear so people can see what they're buying. And if you have a product that is really that much more valuable, allow them to see that clearly and to purchase it. My general accusation was that there are people out there who are trying to trick people into a close when they could do it. I mean, it sounds like you're doing things that are highly valuable. If that is your strength, I would lead with all the value that you provide up front, because you're not someone who competes on price. It sounds like you're someone who's trying to compete on value. But yes, we do offer a lot of those things inside the course, including, and the beautiful part about mine is, I'm not trying to, compare yours versus mine, but you asked. I'm directly involved, so rather than getting secondhand information from me or someone that I hired, they're getting it directly from me, which is who they wanted to hear from in the first place. So yeah, I mean, we're maybe splitting hairs at this point, but
for sure. Yeah,
if you're trying to get to a point where I would say that people can get all the things that you're saying for 90% less, then I mean, that's never not going to be true. They can always get that. In fact, they can get it usually for free, because a lot of these Facebook groups have people who are have that type of revenue in their businesses, and you can freely ask the questions and they will answer. So yeah, in fact, in regards to, I think I just remembered one thing you had asked in regards to the software development. Yeah, I started the software development at the end of last year after I tried one last time to find an alternative and I just couldn't find it. But how crazy is it if you found out that I learned how to build all that entire software for free on YouTube?
I love it. I mean, to your credit, Jonathan, I built my entire first business learning how to fix iPhones on what do you call it? YouTube. Sorry, I don't know why I had a brain fart right there. I learned how to fix phones and computers on YouTube. But I can tell you the first time I learned how to fix a phone, I paid someone to teach me how to do it. And the first time I ran into an opportunity to like really elevate the iPhone computer repair business was when I learned how to run Google Ads. And yeah, that was free too. I learned that for free. So there's nothing wrong with free. There's a lot of value in free. I built my first 7-figure company. If it was, and that was without any mentorship and coaching. But I can promise you this: if I had myself and I came back in time and there's some crazy voodoo, movie magic happened, and I stood in front of me, I was like, "Hey, I'm you in the future. Look at me. Like, I'm literally you. Would you like to learn everything that you can avoid and everything that you can, use to accelerate your growth? And, like, I don't know, paying myself is weird, but like, if I had the opportunity to my younger self to pay a future version of myself, the person I want to become, the person with, a great relationship, a beautiful, some beautifully running companies, would I pay that person? I don't know. Maybe I was in that day and age, a very proud, a very, independent person, someone who's just like, I'm trying to prove to the world that I can do this myself. Yeah, I would say maybe I would have turned myself down.
Yeah,
But
and I understand that.
today, my more developed and mature self, if my 40-year-old self would come to me with the same offer, I'd say, fuck yeah, let's do it. How much do I have to pay you? I'll sell all my Bitcoin right now. Teach me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's fine. You can do that. I'm just saying, for example, you gave a car example. I'm just saying, don't buy a Ferrari for $100,000 or $500,000 when you could buy a Ferrari for $100,000 just by finding a better deal.
Yeah, I mean,
We're just coming back to the
Sure.
point where yes, education is important. Education is effective. You don't have to spend 10 or 20 or 30 grand to do it, and you definitely shouldn't go into debt to make it happen.
I agree. Some people can't handle debt, but there's a lot of companies and entrepreneurs that know how to use debt in a smart way and leverage that in a sustainable way where they're not going into, a debt where it's like a loan shark, where it's just like 30%, predatory rates, but it's just like a reasonable 10%. And the fact that is that most people that go through and use debt smart, they're able to make 20, 50%, 100% on in excess of that 10% interest. And so debt is not a bad thing.
Yeah, 10% is really high interest rate. But also, once again, just coming back to this, and I just have to keep reminding people, you can go into debt and get a 10% interest rate, or you could pay cash $500 to learn the exact same thing, and you won't 10x your business, you'll 100x your business or your investment, because your investment initially was that much smaller.
You're saying you can learn the exact same thing, and I know we've gone pretty over time, so like I'll let you make closing statements after this one last statement. Jonathan, right? I know you have contractors in place or a team in place. You said you can choose to not shoot if you don't want to. I scaled Aerial Canvas to $1.7 million my first year in business, my first full year in business, with only $50,000 of cash invested in the business. And I joined my business partner when he was doing $15K a month. doing everything on his own, shooting, editing, being an admin. He could learn it on YouTube. He'd learned a lot of it on YouTube. But when I came into the business, I blew it up alongside him. Without his support, it wouldn't have happened. Without his leadership on leading the creative team, it wouldn't have happened. But I brought in systems. I brought in processes. I helped with hiring core key team members. Within 3 years after that, we hit $7 million a year. Yes, there's part luck. I can promise you that. The timing was nice. We came in during a market that was ready to be disrupted by, packaged solutions. The market has changed. The market's evolving. This year, we still did $4 million or close to, with close to 20% net margins without me having to lift a finger or much of one, besides me mentoring my team because I'm passionate about it. And so to say that you can get you said, yes, you can definitely, if a Ferrari is being sold that's worth $500,000 for $100,000, buy that Ferrari and drive it as fast as you can to either sell it or enjoy it. But I don't think you can compare your program to being a flagship program when you haven't scaled a 7-figure agency and help agencies exit for multiple 7 figures or 7 figures. Right. So you can't make that claim when you haven't done it. And earlier in the conversation, you said that there's a lot of people, faking numbers. And I don't think you're doing that. And there's a lot of people that are, they've made their money on X, Y, and Z. But the people that are choosing to coach with Acre Partner are the people that are trying to scale 7-figure agencies. And you haven't done that. So I don't think when you say you can get the same thing at your program as you can with mine, I just don't think you can, because you haven't done it. You might understand all the concepts from all the books, but you actually haven't built a company that does over $1 million in revenue and significant profit and with a team in place, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, so, sure. I would love to respond to that. We'll close this out soon. 20% profit margins on a business, even if you have a ton of revenue, is really inefficient business. So I don't mean.
I think this is a lack of experience too. If you look at industry wide, the biggest companies, the biggest marketing firms, the most efficient companies, even you look at Google and Facebook and these tech companies are exceptions because tech scales very nicely with profits. But any service-based business, the average margin for a scaled up business is 10 to 20%. 20% on an agency at scale doing 7 figures without you having to lift a finger or show up as an operator is a very, very healthy business doing very good margins.
Okay.
And yes, it's going to be 30%. Yes. But show me the facts that there's companies doing $1 million a year running 50% margins or 30%.
Sure. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of businesses who do that. I'm one of them. 50%.
You're an operator. You have a job though.
Not exactly. Well, I'll get into the numbers here in a second. So there are a lot of businesses who are really excited about 20% profit margins, and you can say, well, that's where most businesses are at. Most businesses fail. Also, that doesn't make just because there's a lot of people who do it doesn't make it good. Most partnerships fail. Doesn't make partnerships good just because some people succeed. So yes, 20%, I will stand by that fact. If you're making 20% profit margins and bragging about it, I would submit to you, you could make that business a lot more efficient. One of the ways is by not overpaying for, let's say, outsourcing. A lot of people will pay $1 or more for outsourcing when you could go ahead at that size and hire your own outsourcing team and pay them good. I'm not sure how you could structure that and in photography and have that such a poor profit margins. I know plumbing companies that make close to those profit margins, and they have to have enormous amounts of revenue dumped into equipment and costs.
The biggest thing is you just asked a question, so I want to answer.
Go ahead.
How? Because I pay my employees well. Some people say I don't pay them enough, but out of every dollar, right? I pay out 80 cents to my staff or vendors or software and overhead. We don't have much office overhead. We reduced that significantly in the last 2 years. But it's because we pay our employees well and we want to give them a long-term opportunity. You know, we have employees that have been with us for 5+ years. The 2 directors I have in place have been with the company 4 or 5 years. They make a 6-figure salary and profit share for leading the company. And they're not going, ideally, they're not going anywhere. And I'm building businesses to be sustainable. You know, like if you don't pay your employees well at some point, you know, if you're trying to squeeze everyone for like the cheapest costs, like your editors, like I agree, editing can be cheaper, and that's why I'm currently innovating and working on AI photo editing, auto HDR with my partner Matt, and we're trying to get the costs well underneath, you know, where you're at, and hopefully even cheaper. 40 cents is amazing, by the way. Like I'm paying 70 cents to $1 for my edits. But we can compare apples to oranges on like, you know, like the quality or apples to apples on the quality. With that being said, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, like I don't think it's all about profit for me. You know, like I think you and I can both agree it's not all about money, and you and I approach things differently. For you, it's not about money when it's coaching and you want to sell a low ticket. And for me, you know, when it comes to profit in my industry, it's not about, you know, how do I max profit and pay my employees the least, because the only way I can get more profit is I do more automations and systems, which I do have Tano for, or and other automations like HubSpot and CRMs. Or it's to you know, try to drive lower costs for my team, which, you know, I've hired a lot of overseas employees and replaced a lot of entitled employees that are, you know, based in California. But I also have an amazing California-based staff that I pay 2 to 3 weeks of vacation, over close to 10 days of holiday, 401k with 5% matching, health benefits, full gas reimbursement, full vehicle reimbursement, almost. You know, like we pay out a lot, and that's why we don't make 50% margins. We make 20, and we're happy with 20.
Well, here's the thing: people are paying for your expertise advice because they're looking for business acumen, right? So you're saying that, well, I've never done these things or something else, and you're talking about your 20% profit margins. In the comment you had given me on the Facebook group, you had also said, admittedly, I have also ran a business that had a tremendous amount of stress, putting my payroll and employees' livelihoods ahead of my own interests and profits, burning $100K a month. But luckily, we are running profitably all of 2024. So it sounds like you've had some success, but admittedly, not so success.
I've had more failures than success. I've been punched in the gut. I've been slapped in the face. I've been spat on by my ex-employees. I have employees still stealing from me. That is inevitable as you scale. If you're a big company, it's like, I've been sued this year, and I settled it myself, and it was a frivolous lawsuit, and I can go into detail about that on another podcast. But the failures is what define us as entrepreneurs, not the success. The success gets some eyeballs, and some people are like, yo, show me how to make $1 million, or show me how to go my agency to 7 figures. But the other people are like, help me avoid the mistakes that you've made, because it looks like you've made a lot along the way. And those are the ones I'm trying to avoid. And that's actually what is providing even more value than the success. The success is great, but helping people avoid failure, like I don't know if this has happened to you, but I've had photographers come work with me, train with me for 3 months, and then they go off and then they poach my clients. Like, it sucks. And I know how to avoid that now. And I know how to screen for that. I know how to structure for that. I know how to incentivize my team so they keep the business in. But inevitably, you know, there's human, you know, you're always playing your odds, you know, and my goal is to help people, you know, increase their odds.
Yeah. So I don't play odds. One of my things that I have a list of quotes that I live by, and one is, you don't plan things so that they're unlikely to go wrong. You plan things so that they can't go wrong.
I think that's impossible, though. Life hits you like you don't expect it. But my dad might be suffering from dementia right now, and I have to deal with that later today.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I'm very sorry about that.
I know that's personal, but like, you can't control everything.
You can control a lot. There's certainly unknowns. Let me just cover a few things, and then we'll call it good.
Let's grab it. Yeah, thanks.
But In regards to business acumen, you had talked about failures defining your business. Another motto I live by is don't take diet advice from fat people.
Of course,
And
that's a good one.
right. And don't take money advice from poor people.
I agree.
Right.
You're not poor either. I can tell you that.
But people who don't have tremendous, like crazy success, who try to sell courses or something else, and I'm just saying this in generic, okay? And I know that it does apply to this conversation that we're having right now, but will often have a script tactic where they talk about, oh, I've had all these failures, but that's why I'm so credible. I would submit to you, perhaps you should go with somebody who did it right the first time because they have the business acumen to avoid issues. Let me talk about some of the issues that I've never had. I've had employees, and I run 4 businesses, including vacation rentals, real estate photography course, the actual real estate photography, and software business. So different industries and everything else. None of them have ever run a loss in a year. Not a single time.
So your software business pre-revenue has not taken a loss this year.
The year's not over. We just got started.
Okay, well, last year.
Well, okay, fair point. That's because we launched in November.
There's nothing wrong with taking a loss to build something great. Like Amazon took 7 years to break even on AWS.
Let's talk about the software. I think when you had compared the software you invested in, and I want to leave the software out. I'm just talking about business acumen specifically. You say you were a minority investor, and you invested like $100,000, and you were their first customer.
150, and I'm the first customer. Yes.
150,000 first customer, and you're a minority owner.
I didn't invest 150K up front. I invested it after the company was building a lot of momentum. I invested it at a $3 million valuation and a $7 million valuation, different tranches.
Okay. I invested less than that and in a 100% owner of Real Estate Media Hero. So I would say if you want to learn from someone who makes good business decisions, if I was investing $100,000, $150,000 in anything, you can bet your butt I would not want to be a minority owner.
Well, if you want someone to give you a shit ton of money and be stupid about decisions, I'm down to give you a shit ton of money for those who are listening.
Right. Right. So I would just submit to you, perhaps my record, since you're talking about I haven't built $1 million, $1.7 million business in real estate photography. True. I've made millions with one solopreneur, just myself. That's $250,000 with 80-85% profit margins easily, and we're still sitting at 60-70% profit margins, even when I had 2 employees, and now it's a lot higher with just 1 employee. And here's the thing: with 1 employee, I started a software business and relaunched my real estate photography course. So we're running incredibly efficiency. We're running 3 businesses with 1 employee. So if you're looking for someone who's credible, who knows what
you got key man risk just from a consulting perspective. If that employee gets sick, you're not running any of those businesses.
Hey, Zach, when was the last time you couldn't come in for work, and how did business go?
It's been several weeks, and we got through it perfectly fine.
Like, I understand what you're saying, man, but it's not accurate. And I think we're approaching an hour and a half, which is a great.
No worries. But there's a hit by a bus test that's pretty common in business. So regardless, Zach, you're not going to get hit by a bus, knock on wood right here. I'm no ill will trying to be spread, but I'm just trying to identify weaknesses in businesses. And that's what I do as a consultant. You have a key man risk. Your business is not sellable. If you have one person that, the reason why, if you look into M&As, why people pay, a 3x valuation versus a 10x valuation is because a business has more stability. The people with fuck you money that are like running private equity and hedge funds and, actually venture capital, they're looking at companies at all degrees. And the fact that you can't identify key man risk and you're bragging about like how you have high profit margins, which tells me Zach is being underpaid. Sorry to say that. I don't know what Zach made, but like if you're making 80%, 70% margins on, and he's doing a bulk of the work, then goddamn,
Yeah, there's no problem there, Zach. Do you feel like you're getting underpaid?
Not in my mind.
Nope. So he says, no, not in my mind is what he said. Not at all.
Your competitor offers him a higher salary,
Right. Well, sorry, man. I hear what you're saying, but there's disagreement there. So anyway, and this is what the podcast is all about. We have people on that we agree with. You and I agree with certain things, disagree at a certain level.
You and I can both agree this was fun, right? It's a battle of the intellect or whatever.
Right. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I know that there's some people who don't like this type of conversation. I'm telling you guys, this is some of the best conversation you guys will learn from. So if you guys enjoyed the conversation, feel free to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I know that it's a longer podcast. Personally, I don't mind longer podcasts. I would love these to be 3 hours long.
We'll do it again one day.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, we were just exploring a lot of business ethics with some specifics, including some posts I've made, some accusations, but everybody knows exactly where I'm coming from. Everyone knows where exactly Brendan is coming from. And hopefully you guys can form your own perspective on lots of these things, because that's what we're here for. We're not to tell people what to think. We're here to give people information and let them decide for themselves. Yeah. Anyway, I really appreciate you coming on. It means a lot. And I do think it says a lot that you're even willing to come on. And I will give you this. No chance most of the people that I would love to come on would ever dare show them their face and give me this kind of time with them.
Yeah, actually, I would challenge a lot of people to do something like this as a way to grow. Like if you aren't willing to come into the ring and have a serious conversation, I'm going to challenge people out there: the Daniel Bertolo, Claudio Rivera, Eli Jones. Come to this one. I bet you won't. And if you do come on, I'll personally I'll send you a gift card or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, thank you very much. And like I said, great podcast. I wish you all the best. And if you guys want to tune in next week, we release these every week.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.